You're listening to Three's A Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
I've got a really sneaky hunch that David Strelic is going to score 2 goals. I don't know why. I feel it in my left and right nipples. Yep. And when I get a tingling sensation in my nipples, I believe in it. And I believe David Strelic is going to get 2 goals. A great pass by Hayden Hackney to Riley McGree. Riley McGree puts it back into the box. Morgan Winnick tries to hit it first time. David Strelic has scored. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? David Strelic has scored. What did I tell you? Did you not listen to me? David Strelic! Win the neighbours! David Strelic is on the board. What did I say to you? What about the whole tingling in the nipples? The tingling in the nipples, I told you, and he scored.
Wow. Well done, right.
Good morning, football fans. Bringing you live with these magic nipples. I have got Steve Wraith and the Mackham next to me. Good morning to each and every one of you. Welcome to Three's A Crowd, the only North East football podcast where we bring Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland together for a bit of banter and a bit of laugh for every Saturday or Sunday. Hope you're all fantastic, safe and well. Middlesbrough have already played. Newcastle and Sunderland yet to play. We're going to be looking into that and the results over the week with my 2 good gentlemen to my left and right. It's a good morning to you, Mr. Teddy Mackham. My magic nipples are all here for you, mate.
Yeah, remember when we used to be classy? Like in the last 7 days, I've gone from a 35-minute interview on radio, by the way, talking about how good and classy this podcast is, and then you come on with your nipples, and I've got family watching. It's not right.
I do apologise to the Mackham family.
But to be fair, you were on form yesterday. I enjoyed the watch along, mate. I enjoyed watching Middlesbrough last night. To be fair. You lost the second half, but there you go.
No, but I mean the second half was I don't know. The work was done in 45 minutes. Good morning to you, Mr. Steve Wraith.
Good morning, mate. Good morning. Yes, congratulations. A good win last night for you guys. And interesting. Sky were building it up. Was Hull getting ready to go into second place? So maybe they believed the hype before the game. But well done to Borough. Good results and back in it, I guess, opening a little gap between you and Hull again and closing the gap on Coventry.
It was an incredible performance and obviously the second game in charge for Kim Hellberg, our new Swedish manager. I was reporting to live as well. What you see behind me is normally my office, but I'm actually coming to you live from my local IKEA here. As you can see, here I am from the local IKEA where Swedish meatballs are on the menu for any opponent that comes near us, and we're going to be serving them up red hot and down the throat of any opponent because the Swedish mafia is here and we're here to stay. I tell you, it's an incredible Swedish takeover. The rumour is that Isak might come down the championship. Such is bad Premier League form. He may come down to Middlesbrough under Kim Hellberg to link up with the Swedish manager. I'm just hearing rumours. Let's start it off with Middlesbrough last night. A fantastic performance in the first 45 minutes, scoring 4 goals to zip. Obviously, the second half was a different story where Hull would get a penalty. They would convert that, and the final score would be 4-1 in absolute torrential rain, lads. I don't know if, Steve, if you've how you've managed to keep dry, if that's what the rain last week against Derby County for Middlesbrough was torrential. Last night was torrential. If that hasn't stopped, mate, I'm surprised you haven't swum into the local pod.
Yeah, it's strange weather at the moment, but that's what winter brings on Tyneside and Teesside and Wearside. It's it just came out of nowhere last night. To be honest, we've had all sorts this week, but I mean, look, it's going to take a while for this manager to come in and get his tactics across to the players, to get his ethics across and what he's expecting from the team. I did suggest that you'd get a new manager bounce last weekend. It's come a week late, but that's what you want. You want players to respond. You want players to respond to the new man coming in, and they really need to look at where they are in the table and say, look, from our perspective, lads, it's in our hands at the minute, and it is, because you're in the top two, and that's where you want to stay. I think Coventry, unless they have a massive collapse, will win the league. I think they're already showing signs of a team that could go to that elusive 100-point margin and probably go through the whole season, almost unbeaten from now till then. But I think Middlesbrough have got it in their hands, And we all saw what happened with Sunderland last year. Sunderland did drop away. But what they cleverly did last year was essentially protect the players for the playoffs. They clearly knew that that they were going to be in the playoffs, and they didn't waste any energy, didn't waste any players. They were clearly working on that tactics for the playoff final, and they got the win and are in the Premier League and now reaping the benefits from coming up. So yeah, look, Borough, we've said it since the start of the season, would love to see Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle in the same league. It will be fantastic for the North East, fantastic with North East football. We've seen it with the North West for so many years. Why not the North East? And it's about time that the three North East teams weren't yo-yo clubs, that didn't go up and down. And I know some Newcastle fans will be going, Steve, man, we all want to see Sunderland get relegated. But I've always been on the polar opposite of that. As long as Newcastle are above Sunderland, I've always been happy. And at the moment, Sunderland are doing really well. We'll come on to them in a bit, but we want to see Middlesbrough up there, and would love to see Middlesbrough get promoted. So fingers crossed 100%. They do. Keep putting up the fight, lads. That's what you got to do.
That's all we got to do. It's a long old slog in the championship. We've got 3 games in a week. Again, obviously, Middlesbrough away to Charlton midweek. But what a performance it was last night in the wet, Teddy boy. I mean, Nor has been... That first 45 minutes, mate, was probably the best football I've seen Middlesbrough play in a very long time. And I cannot remember sitting there at halftime just being speechless. I mean, I'm a man of many a word. And I could not remember a time of sitting there after 45 minutes going, what the heck has just happened? I mean, we had all of the writing on the wall. Rob Edwards left for Wolves. We've managed to get Kim Hellberg in, the Swedish manager, unproven in the English game, much like Regis last season, where you were going in with the unknown. 2 games in, mate, and we've beaten Derby County and Hull City.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I commented on your watch along yesterday, which I really enjoyed. I particularly enjoyed that first half. I thought they were excellent. What I said at the time was they were very neat and tidy at the back. They were so sharp to every challenge in midfield, and that game was won in midfield for me. I know, obviously, Stranic got on the score sheet and all that, and you took your chance as well. But the midfield for me were just superb yesterday, especially that first half. Like I say, even second challenges and loose balls, they were just first on everything. They were seizing on any kind of miscontrol from the Hull City players, and Hayden Hackney quite rightly justifying the kind of price tag that's been talked about. That's it, up front as well, took their chances superbly well. The finish from Stranic, he made that look a lot easier than what that chance was, because he really had to make time for himself to do it as well. McGree's goal as well, I thought was excellent. Just the way he sort of, to dig it out of his feet. Again, this is, you're talking technique here for players. To dig it out of his feet the way he did, and just to kind of like almost catch up with the outside of his left foot. It was the only gap he had to aim at, and he took it as well as any striker in the Championship or in the Premier League. It was just excellent, mate. The thing is now, and I joke about like sort of losing the second half. You did the damage. All you had to do was maintain a bit of concentration. For me, it was a very soft penalty that you conceded. I don't think it was a penalty personally. I think it was very much played for. But obviously, with the absence of VAR, it's not going to get overturned. But you did a professional job in the second half. There's no need to go hell for leather. It's going to take some catching Coventry with the goal difference now anyway. It's all about points. And when you're in this position, when you're playing that Friday night game, you just got to make sure you get your results. Now the pressure goes back to Coventry to maintain their points difference. And to be honest, I said it yesterday, and I think I might have mentioned on the show previously, I just feel like Coventry are going to slip at some point. And just like what Sheffield United did last season, where they just slipped down into third, couldn't get back into the automatic spots. That's going to happen. And when you look at like the likes of Scotty Parker, who's under pressure at Burnley.
Yep.
they've got to be looking at somebody like Frankie Lampard going, right, we're in the mire. We may as well go and get Frankie Lampard, maybe get a couple of his Coventry players in the January window. If we get relegated, then we've got a good Championship manager to try and take us back up. But in the meantime, he looks like he's destined for a Premier League kind of job. They'll either lose him to a Premier League side, or I think Coventry will slip up ultimately anyway. So you've just got to go about your business and pick up the wins like what you have done in the last two games. Very contrasting games. You blew them away yesterday and that first half with great football. The Derby County one was more of a Grafton win. If you've got those two kinds of wins in you, Middlesbrough are on a really, really good path, mate. I was very, very impressed with that first half.
No, honestly, it was incredible. And if that's the type of football that Middlesbrough fans can expect under Kim Hellberg, we are in for a very, very exciting. And honestly, Rob Edwards might have given us a bit of a favour, because I don't think a Rob Edwards style of football gets us a win last night. I think we come away with a draw. I don't think we score 4 goals in the first half. I think Kim Hellberg set us up tactically. I mean, he brought in Alex Gilbert, his first start of the season. We haven't seen Alex Gilbert for a good 12 to 16 months. And we had, obviously Alan Brown, the loanee from Sunderland, he was out ill. We had Matty Target in a makeshift, back four. And Alex Gilbert comes in and just plays like Perlo. It was incredible what they've seen with him and made him into a defensive midfielder. And I haven't seen that much of a capitulation apart from England, who are doing exactly the same thing. 2 for 95 if anyone's watching from home. Hey, 2 for 95. Hey, Mitchy Starkey. Righto, we've got to move on quickly. We've got too much football to talk about. Club football is here. We have got a massive, massive game in Sunderland taking on Man City this afternoon. I'm excited for this one, Teddy boy, because you're obviously away from home. You're going to the Etihad. This, for me, is a very, very good, and I keep saying this isn't for me. It's exciting for me to see Regis go up against the likes of Pep. Pep, for me, over the past 5 years or so, is the best manager in the world. It's the way we saw it down in championship level. Obviously, Middlesbrough have been bouncing down the championship, but every team in the championship deployed this 4-2-3-1 from Pep Guardiola. Everyone started playing it out from the back from Pep Guardiola. I mean, his style of football, his tactics, his mind changed the way football was shaped. He now comes up at home against Sunderland in a brand new team, and I'm excited to see the battle of Regis and Pep. We saw Sunderland match it with Arsenal, obviously going 2 goals down, managed to bring that back. How are you seeing this one play out? Because I think this one's more exciting than fans are giving it time for.
Well, first of all, happy birthday or bon anniversaire to Regis Lebris, who hits 50 today. So nice way to celebrate your birthday is a trip to the Etihad and go and take on one of the greatest teams in Europe at this moment in time. Yeah, excuse me.
You got two of them back to back, actually. Yeah.
No, we've played Liverpool already, mate. Oh, you nearly got me. You nearly got me. Honestly, it's like a good smiling assassin, isn't he? Like he just ghosts one in there. Let's just very quickly talk about that Liverpool game in midweek. Yeah. I never thought at the beginning of this season that we would come away from that game and I'm going, should have won that. Yeah. Because the performance, contrasting halves, I'm not going to say a game of 2 halves, but it was. The first half, as Regis said, we couldn't believe how much time we had to actually play our football. And that was nice to see, to be honest, because we've been up against it and such a counter-attacking side all season. To see us actually being given freedom to use the ball a bit is almost a little bit of a comfort, because now we know we've got that in our game and we can actually knock the ball around a little bit. I thought that first half we were exceptional against Liverpool. I thought Alderete in particular, I know Isaac's on a bad run of form at this moment in time, but he's still a top talent. But to be honest, Alderete absolutely had him on toast all game. I thought he was absolutely wonderful. And Alderete going into this game and upping the stakes even further to take on somebody like Haaland with the with the form and the confidence he's got at this moment in time, he must be relishing that they could go another wicket, obviously. Go on, very quickly. Tell us what's the score.
Crawley bowled out 44. He's gone. It's 3 for 97. Michael Nessa's gotten 2.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh,
anyway,
he's dropped on.
Back to the sport of kings. Yeah, listen, defensively, I thought we were excellent, and we had to be in the second half because Liverpool threw a lot at us. Could have nicked it. Tom Dixon mentioned in there, Isidore looks a decent player. He is. He's sharp. I thought Robin Rooster to actually pick out that pass to him with about 2 minutes left on the clock, not just rolling around and holding onto the ball like a lot of goalkeepers are doing now, actually went for it and tried to win the game. It was just brilliant to see. And yeah, it sticks in the throat that we didn't get the win a little bit. I mean, a £100 million player whose shot was going to hit the corner flag, deflected in, and that's what got them the draw at the end of the day. I just thought it was a massive, massive performance, and fair play to Luke O'Nien making his Premier League debut.
Oh, how good was that?
To be,
it was emotional, wasn't it?
Do you know what it was? And I got a bit choked seeing his interview after, because that lad was playing non-league football 10 years ago, being told by every club he's ever been that he isn't good enough. I've had my moans about him as a player. Don't get me wrong. He's always got a little bit of a bit of an accident in a way to happen. But I tell you what a testament to work ethic and being a professional and just being a good guy, a really good guy to have around. He mentioned in his interview about the importance of Simon Moore, the goalkeeper from last season. He only played 4 games all season. He said, but he was one of the most influential and biggest characters in the whole dressing room. And you need people like that. I hope to God we keep him on in some sort of coaching capacity. Because I think for young players looking at that, you need somebody like a Luke O'Nien to learn from, who's had the rejection in his career, and then coming on and making his debut on the left wing against the Premier League champions. Just brilliant. A wonderful, wonderful story. Today's game, much of the same. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I don't know what to expect out the lineups. Does Regis Labrise go and rest Siddiqui or Xhaka or both? Because obviously one yellow card away from being suspended from the derby, it's a bit of a concern. Although I will say that their discipline against Liverpool was absolutely outstanding.
I was expecting him to get one.
I thought Siddiqui was going to get one in the first couple of minutes, but he behaved himself, and to not pick up a yellow card in that kind of battle where you are having to put your foot in against Liverpool because they've got extremely talented players, and to show that discipline and maturity, I'm so impressed with that. So yeah, listen, it remains to be seen what we've got in terms of starting up top today, starting on the pitch rather. Up top, I can see Brobby maybe keeping his place in the starting lineup. I thought it was quite a nice contrast that we had there, where Brobby was kind of a little bit of a battering ram against the likes of Kanate, and then obviously bring the pace of Isidore onto that as well. So we might go for a little bit of the same kind of thing today. Defensive-wise, as long as we're keeping that same sort of lineup, it'll be 5 at the back again today, no question about it. You don't go to the Etihad and play 4 at the back. Let's not be silly about it. But if they keep that same sort of defensive discipline, I fancy us to shut out Haaland today. I really do. I think we've got that in us. You might have to put 2 men on him, but yeah, we're going to give them a game today. This is why we want to be in the Premier League. We want games like this. We want to see a game against Liverpool, a game against Man City, and then going in for me, what is the biggest derby in the Premier League, and that's where we feel where we belong. That's where we want to stay as well. It's just happy times.
I think that's obviously one that's been on everyone's lips, hasn't it? When Sunderland got promoted, it was looking out for this next week's fixture. I mean, Man City's a massive game. You're coming up against the likes of Liverpool, but the battle of Newcastle versus Sunderland is something that I think the North East has been missing. And I think you're about to see how big the North East can be in the next couple of weeks, especially with Newcastle. I mean, I've experienced it once in the FA Cup where we were obviously on our previous show, and I cannot wait to sit here as a popcorn eater and watch it unfold over the next week. I just want to take you back though, Teddy, just quickly before we obviously look forward in the next moment to that Bournemouth game, mate. the ability for Sunderland to keep coming back from being behind is incredible. I was watching, obviously, Middlesbrough at the same time. I had people coming in saying, Sunderland are 2-0 down. And all of a sudden, Bournemouth have given up a 2-goal lead to let it go back to 3-2. They also got red carded as well. Iraola going around as one of the upcoming managers, someone that they said should have gotten the Tottenham job over Thomas Frank as well. And you've managed to take 3 points off Bournemouth as well. I mean, we keep talking about do we start believing? Do we start thinking? I mean, these results are not becoming flukes. To come back 2-0 down against Bournemouth, mate, that must have been some performance.
Weirdly, so I sat and watched it with the missus last weekend, and even at 2-0 down, I actually said to her after they scored the second goal, we're going to win this 3-2, because we were so far in that game. It was so even in those first few moments of the game, and even for the 20 minutes. It was it was just incredible to watch. You just didn't doubt it for a minute. I was really, really impressed in terms of the fight and just the way they're taking their chances as well. It's unbelievable, but for me, to answer your question, mate, do we start believing? It's still very much for me a case of let's get to 40 points. I mean, I love Hobbitt's enthusiasm and his confidence. A Sunderland win for me. You're a better DJ than you're a pundit. Let's put it that way, Hobbit. I'll give you that. But I love your confidence. And do you know what? Why not? Let's get a little bit carried away and start and enjoy this. Because sitting in the barbers today was a massive Arsenal fan as well, going like, I fancy you lads to get a result today, you know. And people starting to believe that Sunderland are kind of, they're not just there and fluking wins like what you're saying. We're actually giving a decent account of ourselves now. Stephen King there, could Sunderland Newcastle make the Champions League?
Can you imagine?
Tell you what, it'd be insane. Absolutely insane. But we're a little way off that yet. Let's get to 40 points. Let's see what we can do today. Keep everybody fit and well, and then we're going to arguably the biggest game of the season after that.
There is the massive fixture on the horizon, that is for sure. Stevie, mate, over to Newcastle United. Let's look back before we look forward. A massive week. Obviously, the draw with Tottenham, which I don't think should have been a draw. I think you were very unlucky there. Obviously, Romero equalising it late on. But coming off that, a massive win, mate, against Everton, which I think put... I mean, we were speaking about it here on the pod. I thought we were going into that game very nervously because it's the away form that's been on everyone's lips. But Eddie Howe managed to get it right against David Moyes, a tough opponent, and not only did he get it right, you blew Everton out of the water in their new ground. And then a tough midweek fixture against Tottenham. I think we're lucky to take we're very unlucky, to get 4 points, which I think could have been 6.
I mean, look, let's start with a positive. The Everton game, 4-1 win. The stadium wasn't impressed with it. I've got to be perfectly honest.
No,
but
really?
No, I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. Crazy to be, they breached a few heritage rules as well, by the sounds of it, to get their ground there. But no, not a great place. Inside, yeah, good for atmosphere, but as a ground to get to, awful, and nothing around it. So that's my advice for anyone who's thinking about going there. Go there once, but you probably not want to go back. And the bars and everything, awful, really, for away fans. Anyway, performance on the pitch, excellent. Best away game of the season. And I mean, bearing in mind, I've been to virtually every away game this season, and it's been an awful experience because we haven't won any games. We've drawn, we've got points at places where we wouldn't have got, but it hasn't been entertaining and it hasn't been enjoyable. And that was the best away end of the season by a country mile. Everyone had a great day out. Some great performances. Got to pick out Malik Chow for his 2 goals, but his defensive performance as well, and ultimately. Voldemort again, because he's ploughed a lone furrow since the start of the season. He was excellent, but a return to form for your wingers as well as always great. Barnes has been exceptional, and for me, a great performance. Then we got to midweek, and I'm not going to be too critical of the lads. We all felt we would win that game. I wasn't as confident as some of the Newcastle fans on my podcast who were, predicting 3s and 4s. I felt Newcastle would get a win. I was a bit more conservative and went for a 2-0, 2-1 kind of scoreline. I was jumping between the two. And in all intents and purposes, Newcastle should have got that. Unfortunately, they came up against a Spurs side that had a bad weekend and had decided to come and shut up shop. They came up and settled for a point. Newcastle, on reflection after watching it back on TV, were definitely the better team, but there's nothing you can do when a player like Romero scores 2 goals like that. We can be critical. You can pick out a defender and Dan Burn and say maybe he should have got across quicker. You can pick out Aaron Ramsdale for a poor punch, which then led to the goal. Controversy in the game as well, because I personally, even as a Newcastle fan, didn't feel that was a penalty. Then when you sit and watch, you read the rules that were put up on the TV coverage, it is a penalty. But the problem is that there's no consistency in refereeing, so that's why there's always controversy around this. If every time a defender wasn't looking at the ball and put his arms around a defender and wrestled a forward, somebody in the box from the opposition team wrestled into the ground, we would have a penalty or 2 every single game. And it's the consistency. You either do it or you don't do it. So my point is here that I don't think it was a penalty, but of course, by the letter of the law, it was. So the referee was overruled. Newcastle 2-1 up, and on the balance of play deserved it. But then the second goal, Malik Chow was wrestled to the ground in exactly the same way by one of the Spurs players, which put him off kilter. He probably could have marked Romero and probably would have got the ball. I know ifs and buts and ifs and ands are pots and pans, but he then has to get up, and as Romero is shaping up for his shinned overhead free kick, Chow's just getting back into position. So, listen, I think Eddie Howe described it perfectly yesterday. In football is a set of random events. You can't play. You can't play football without it. It happens, unfortunately. Freak goals happen. Things happen like that, and that's what happened on Wednesday night. Would I have took 7 points from Man City at home, Everton away, and Spurs at home? Of course I would have. 7 out of 9 points. That's a great return. Bearing in mind as well, Newcastle couldn't win an away game. It's good. It's great, Yeah. My prediction, I think I saw a comment on probably last week's stream from a Sunderland fan saying, Steve Wraith predicted Newcastle would be above Sunderland. How's that working out? I genuinely thought we would get 9 points out of those 3 games. We got 7. We've fallen short. We win today, and Sunderland get beat. Newcastle's a point behind Sunderland going into the derby. At the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, because I genuinely always say on here that it's what happens at the end of the season. Whoever's above if Newcastle's above Sunderland or Sunderland's above Newcastle, they've deserved it, and it's what happens in May. So, and I know most Sunderland and Newcastle fans will feel the same. But yeah, 7 out of 9 points is great. I think Sunderland fans will be a little bit more concerned, only a little bit more, because they are playing well, even though they've played nobody yet. But they are playing well. They won't be worried. They won't be worried about us, But there'll be a tiny little bit of concern that, hold on a minute, Newcastle's got their mojo back. We've got to win today. If we win comprehensively today and get a win, we go to Leverkusen. If we can get a result in Leverkusen, which isn't out of the question, we then go into the derby, unbeaten in 5, and that's a big plus. But it's all on today's game for me. We need to win today, a comprehensive win today, make up for the disappointment of a draw against Spurs midweek, and then on to the big one next Sunday.
We're coming up for halfway point of our magnificent podcast, where we're going to get everyone's favourite troll of the week out. But before we do, Steve, obviously there were talks in last week's podcast about the return of Wissa. We still haven't seen him appear for Tottenham or Everton. Is there a chance today? Do you know any inside knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's press conference yesterday, he wouldn't commit to whether Wissa would be on the bench, but he's not far off. Yeah, so I would expect to see him on the bench today. I would expect him to get some minutes of some description today. I expect him to get some minutes against Bayer Leverkusen, and then I wouldn't be surprised to see if he comes through those 2 unscathed, depending on his fitness levels. I would be very surprised if he doesn't start the derby. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But there's a lot of positive noise coming. On the injury front as well, Botman's had an injection in his back, but they're waiting to see how that works out. He could be sidelined for next week, but we're not struggling at the centre half position. Tonali was a knock like Joe Linton. He's expected to be back today. Eddie was going to see what he was like with his training. And we're still obviously without Pope. Pope is not going to be available until Christmas. Same said for Kieran Trippier. He is going to be out for that period of time as well. Nothing too serious, just niggles which are keeping them out, unfortunately. So other than that, though, we've got a good squad of players available for today and the rest of the week.
It's going to be very interesting. We've got a lot to talk about, but at the moment, we've got to sit back, we've got to relax because it's time for Troll of the Week.
And thanks to everybody for sending them in. Just to make sure, as a little bit of a disclaimer, none of us support any of these views, which you will see in Tweet of the Week. Borough are getting accused on football away days this week. Hey, Borough, how come me Charlton tickets got £20 on it and yet you're charging £30? Seems a bit dodgy, this from Middlesbrough. What's all that about, Ray? Right.
Well, it's been interesting, and the club has addressed it. They have issued £10 refunds to all the fans, but I'm not too sure what happened there. It did look like it was a bit of a mishap, but the club has come out and they have emailed everyone that did purchase it at the wrong price, and they have issued them a £10 refunds.
I knew you would know. Congratulations to this guy. His Wolves have still not scored a goal since Rob Edwards became head coach, and it has now been over 8 hours of Premier League football since the last goal. He's doing well. Magical performance, Rob Edwards. I knew you'd enjoy that. Congratulations to my old pal who's got a job this week as well. Geordie Sikh, he's captain of the Indian Navy submarine called Gandhi Underwater. So well done, son. Congratulations to him. And away fans must be pitch side. Premier League clubs agree. This was reported in the news. How on earth are Newcastle and Sunderland still getting away with this rubbish? The 44 not very happy about our away ends. Tough, mate. Tough is what I say. Tough, exactly. Football away days off to Wembley. Can we guess who was on my football shirt? Stephen replied, "She looks young," so Adam Johnson. And great run. Well done to Ryan Giggs, who crossed the line in just over 47 minutes. I personally think he crossed the line when he was shagging his sister-in-law behind his brother's back. And not everyone, remember, will be stuffing a bird this Christmas, lads. Keep rubbing. The genie will pop out shortly. That's my Christmas present.
Jesus Christ.
And congratulations to Isak. Liverpool fans were rightly going wild when Alexander Isak finally scored his first goal. We talked a little bit about the Everton game earlier. Jordan Pickford, here's his gloves from last week. And the Manager of the Month award has changed a lot, lads. Kevin Keegan in the 90s. Anyhow now.
Wow.
And Mark Slavin, this was a great spot, son. Now then, son, lift your arm and extend your middle finger. Bottom right. Excellent. I knew things were bad, Jim, but we're the only stadium in the country without pints, said Skylar Sky. No draft here at Old Trafford. Yeah. Things get worse at Old Trafford, I'm afraid.
I'm Carlin.
Missile thrown from Young Boys fans, says Jay, and Josh Williams replied, Prince William's team versus Prince Andrew's team was always going to be tasty after recent events. Great sign this in the background as well. Shite shifters. Septic tank emptying in train services. Unbelievable, Jeff. And Brewer says 365 days sober yesterday, Fulham away tonight, and a direct F off from Noel Gallagher when I asked for a picture. Life is good. I love this one as well. Romeo Beckham 17 is a spitting image of his football father in a shirtless holiday snap. Shane Jeffries replied, I thought it was Victoria Beckham with her tits out, to be honest. And it does look like Victoria, by the way.
It looks like
it actually does.
And why wasn't Jesus born in Sunderland? Because they couldn't find 3 wise men.
Oh.
But Ted does hit back with this one. Premier League table looks a bit like this. There's definitely a case for AI superimposing heads on wrong bodies there. I'm telling you now. And tattoos. Thanks to David as well. 15-year-old Cliver travelled 18 hours by bus to commentate on the Copa Libertadores final, but got denied at the gate. So he climbed a hill, went live on his phone, and pulled in 47,000 viewers and 10 million views. Well done, that man. Well done.
Well done.
I love collections, shirt collections. I'm sure lots of you out there do keep your shirts, your old shirts, and have probably got a few. Bruno Gamora shared this on his socials yesterday. Not for selling. What a collection. By the way.
God.
You'll have to go and look on there. Go and zoom in on some of the names that he's collected.
Pele and Neymar as well.
He's got some brilliant ones in there.
Wow.
Excellent stuff. He's not selling them, he says.
He's got an Isaac one. Is he not selling that one?
I'm probably going to burn that. Christmas is coming as well, lads, but we'll not be singing Pierce Brosnan. He was happy to play a retired secret agent, 0070 in the next James Bond film. The title's in full, Goldfinger, The Man with the Golden Pension, For Poor Eyes Only, Spectre Savers, A View to a Pill, Octogenarian, No Time to Diet, Live and Let Die in a Care Home, Oh Dear, What a Skyfall, The Spy Who Loved Coco, and Dr. No Resuscitation. Brilliant stuff. I love things like that. Thank you. And maybe Paris FC need to stop looking then and concentrate on bloody football. Yeah, nice breasts. Spotted this great story this week as well, lads. Would like to address the reports of the very intoxicated raccoon found inside a Virginia ABC store. According to eyewitnesses, the raccoon entered the premises, bypassed the allocated bourbon, and went straight for our award-winning American single malt. While we're proud of our whiskey, we did not expect it to be quite appealing to local wildlife. We'd also like to apologise to the raccoon's family. As a family-owned company, we know what it's like when a relative gets a little overly confident in the whiskey aisle. Thankfully, the raccoon was indeed 21 and had a valid Virginia ID. If we're guilty of anything, it's this. Our whiskey is too damn good. That's on us. To avoid future omnivore indiscretions, we're updating our motto. Virginia Distillery Company, irresistibly smooth. Even if you eat mostly trash, please drink responsibly. Photograph of the raccoon. Absolutely soddled. Finishing up with these two. How to avoid coronavirus, lads? Well, wash your hands like you've just fingered Widow Twangy. I knew that one would go down well, lads. I think we'll leave it there. That is Tron of the Week for this week.
Welcome back to Three's a Crowd, the very last Three's a Crowd before we're cancelled and taken off by YouTube officials. I love each and every one of you.
Goodbye monetization.
I hope you're all fantastic, safe and well. Thank you so much for everyone joining us. Make sure to check out at Steve Wraith at NUFC Matters for all your Newcastle news, at Ted the Mackin for anything Sunderland, and me at Invictus for Middlesbrough. We bring the three North East clubs together for a bit of laugh, bit of banter every week right here on Three's a Crowd. We're going to be looking forward now. We've looked back in the first half. It's time to look forward, and on the horizon is a massive, massive derby. I sit in the middle of two eagerly nervous men who are taking on each other in the 14th of December. Lads, one question that I just wanted to pose to you very quickly, and it was something that was brought up midweek for another football game. When it comes to the derby, now obviously the fan bases, I think obviously being from the area, Sunderland versus Newcastle, they understand it, they get it. But when you've got such big teams with a massive influx of internationally based players, do they understand, or do you think they connect with the derby as much as the fans? And it's a good question, I thought, and I'll come to you first, Teddy boy, because Sunderland have had an influx of internationally based players. Obviously, we saw you spend 170 odd mil in the summer transfer window. You haven't got any any real talent starting, apart from Chris Rigg, who would probably understand it maybe. But there's no real players out there. You know, you've got Jordan Pickford, obviously at Everton, that understand what it means to be taking on Sunderland versus Newcastle. Do you think that is lost because of the internationally based players, or do you think it's just something that because of it's modern football?
I don't think it's lost on them at all, and I can probably confidently speak for both clubs in this way, in the fact that you have so many local people actually within the club still. All right, maybe not so much on the playing staff, but they're left in no. What WTF is this crap? Crispinator 90.
Not happy.
Well, yeah.
Jesus.
I think he needs to lay off his alien ganj leaf, to be honest, like, and go and play Farmville. Yeah, listen, neither set of players are going to be left in any uncertainty as to the magnitude of this derby. Absolutely no chance. There are people in the club, the fans, when they're around the local area, it's all the fans are going to be talking about. It's all the people who work at the clubs are going to be talking about. Most clubs now, as part of their recruitment process, are kind of like they're looking at personalities as well as the talent side of things. They're looking for the people with the right attitude towards joining a Premier League club such as ours, especially when you're in the northeast of England. It does take a different mentality. It's not the glamour lifestyle of living in London or anything like that. It's a Grafton area. And you need a special kind of personality to play for these clubs. And I think that'll be very much part of why they were brought in, the ethos of why they were brought in the first place. And I think that even if they were uncertain, like I say, they're just going to be in no doubt of how massive this is going to be. I think both sets of players, even now, going into this weekend, they're still going to be looking at it kind of going, yeah, the derby's next. Everyone's talking about this. They can't escape it. My family's absolutely buzzing. I had a quick conversation with my sister this morning. She's already nervous about it. Season ticket holder has been for years. She's nervous about it now. My great nephew is absolutely bricking it because he's going to be mascot on the day and leading the side. Oh, mate, honestly, I showed you, lads.
So pleased for him.
Incredible that.
The video was excellent.
I'm buzzing because he's such a lovely kid as well. He's his mum and dad have done a great job with him, and he just deserves it. And listen, that's what the players can't avoid is from a little kid getting his chance to be mascot in a game like that. Everyone is talking about this game, so both sets of players will be absolutely bang up for this. I honestly feel like this is going to be one of the biggest derbies possibly in the history of this fixture. Because we're in a situation right now where Sunderland have obviously went and surprised everybody so far this season, and we're playing a lot better than what anybody anticipated. It never felt like a proper derby in that FA Cup game because of us being, at the time, we were struggling in the Championship. We're under Michael Beale, for God's sake. It was the most horrendous aspect. I think that was worse than our League One days, was having Michael Beale in charge of the Championship days. It didn't feel like a proper one. A proper derby is the league game. And once we have Middlesbrough back in the Premier League as well, and we get a taste of that again, even though I make fun of it and call it the derbish, that's what it's all about. And this just has a flavour of such a big fixture this time around, because obviously Newcastle flying in Europe at this moment in time, Sunderland surprising everybody and taking scalps, and Steve putting our WhatsApp group. We've had points out of 6 of the top 8. Yeah, and that ain't fluking it. And as he's joked on earlier on about they haven't played anyone yet, and we actually have now, and we're dining at the top table for a reason. So it's just going to be a wonderful game. I can't wait for the two midfields to get stuck into each other. I can't wait to see two sets of strikers, goals that can be scored from anywhere, and in terms of defensive units. I can't remember a time where Newcastle and Sunderland have had defenders of this quality. I really can't. It's just everything about it points to an absolutely amazing game. Yeah, I'm nervous now about it. To be honest, I'm looking at today. The only thing I'm nervous about today, playing Man City, is for God's sake, Xhaka and Siddiqui get through it without a yellow card. That's
going to be tough, isn't it?
If we get beat, we get beat today. Nobody's expecting us to go to the Etihad.
You don't want them missing.
This is the biggest derby in the Premier League. I'll go on to say that. Hands down, there's nothing else like it. Yeah, all right, Liverpool, Man United have their beef and all that sort of thing. This is different. The only derby out there that I can think of in the British Isles is actually the Old Firm derby. That's the only one that gets, that possibly surpasses it.
Yeah.
Newcastle, Sunderland, or Sunderland, Newcastle, for me, biggest derby in the Premier League, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's going to be very, very exciting. Just as Joe Root has to depart. England now 4 for 110. Joe Root is gone for 15. Mitchell Stark has got his man. Steve, quickly, I just want to, before we look at this week's predictions, mate, and look at the future, I was just asking, and Ted's saying that the players are going to be well up for it. It doesn't matter where they come from, where they're born. They know what it means to play Newcastle and what it means to represent Sunderland. Is it the same for Newcastle? I mean, obviously Newcastle have got the Brazilians, they've got, the new German up front. You've got Aaron Ramsdale or Nick Pope in goal potentially. None of these players that are from the area. Do you think it takes much to show or to convince a Newcastle player how much it means for Newcastle to verse Sunderland?
Certainly not, because, first of all, Newcastle did play Sunderland in the FA Cup, and a lot of these players played in that game.
Yeah.
A lot of the squad know what the atmosphere is like at the Stadium of Light as well. So they're not walking into the unknown. They're not walking into a game that they haven't played collectively. Dan Burn, of course, is a Geordie through and through, and somebody who will certainly be all week telling the players who are new to this experience what it all means. Lewis Miley's a Geordie. Lewis Hall is a Newcastle fan. Jacob Murphy is a Newcastle fan, prior to coming to the club. So these people will all have a part to play. Kieran Trippier, although he's not going to be part of the matchday squad, will be certainly, giving advice and there. Yeah. So I don't have any concerns about whether Newcastle will be up for it. I think that, for me, it's about calming the crowd down, and it happens at St James's and it happens at the Stadium of Light. If Newcastle can go there and frustrate the team in red and white for that first half hour, and the crowd dies a death, which ultimately it always does at either ground, then that's when things can change. The first goal is going to be crucial, but I do think, as Tom says in the chat, we need a strong referee, and that's we. That's not we as in Newcastle. That's both teams, because that can either make the game or ruin the game. What we don't really want to see, let's face it, is players getting booked in the first 5 minutes. I think let it go for a bit and see how it goes. And if it does get out of control, then you start booking. But if the first challenge on that derby gets a booking, it's going to spoil the game. And there will be sending. I've not changed my mind. I do think it'll be very tight. I do think there'll be a red card or two, perhaps, probably on both sides. I can't see Joe Linton keeping his cool as far as Newcastle's concerned. I'd love to think he can, but I just have this worrying feeling that he's going to get a red in this game. But I just think it'll be decided by a free kick. I don't think it's going to be a big game for a big scoring game. I'd be very surprised if any team runs away with it. But I think it'll be very tight. It'll be very cagey, and I think it'll be decided with a free kick. There'll be a wonder goal. Somebody will be the hero. Somebody will be the villain. And it'll be bragging rights until we meet again. But it's a different fixture. We go down there with excitement and a bit of anxiety, as Sunderland fans will be traipsing up to the Stadium Light exactly the same. But it's if we can if Sunderland get beat today, and there's no guarantee that's going to happen. But if Sunderland do get beat, Newcastle win, of course, we'll go a point behind them, and it's a level playing field this time. So whoever wins will have the bragging rights. It will be fair to say that at the moment they're the best team in the North East. So let battle commence. Let the build-up commence. The social media build-up will be interesting because
this week
Sunderland and Newcastle have got a good. They've both got good social media teams. I think there'll be a little bit of wind-up going on. It'll be interesting to see how the two managers cope with it as well. But it's not going to be a rollover for Sunderland next week. And I think the old adage, I've said it last week, I'll say it again, I'll say it next week. Form goes out the window. So it's all or nothing. It's blood and thunder, and it's which team plays the match and not the occasion.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Make sure you tune into Three's a Crowd next week, where we'll have the Derby special. We'll have the two men on my left and right going at each other, and we'll be previewing this game, one of the biggest ones of the season, especially for this North East Football Baseball Club podcast. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to talk about that one further next week. Lads, we've got some football in between now and then. We are in the middle of December. The fixtures are coming thick and fast. Newcastle are going to a 3-game week, as are Middlesbrough. Sunderland are playing Man City today. Let's look at excuse me, let's look at Sunderland first. They are taking on Man City today. I want to get some predictions from you lads. It's a quiet week in terms of for Sunderland, Teddy boy. Obviously only the one game and then into the derby. Can you believe it? It's here on the doorstep, but a massive step to get past Man City at the Etihad today, mate.
Yeah, it is. And I think this is the one where nobody expects us to get any points out of this one. You almost write this one off. Man City can absolutely destroy teams. I just hope that we retain a bit of defensive discipline and don't get absolutely mullered down there, which can happen, and it can happen to anybody in the Premier League. Yeah. But I think it might be a bit tighter than what most people think. I can't see us pulling anything out the bag, any sort of miracles out the bag on this one. I don't mean to be pessimistic or anything like that. I'm just trying to be a bit of a realist. If we got a draw out of this, I'd be absolutely ecstatic with that. They have got their problems, obviously, in terms of injuries. They're still missing Rodri. Kovacic as well is also missing from the squad as well. But it's Man City, and they can just pull out another £80 million signing to replace them on the bench and all that sort of thing. Where they are a little bit shaky is in defence. So I think if we can get at them, it's not our usual kind of game. Or if we actually sort of put a little bit of pressure on them, we might just get a goal out of it. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to go. I'm going to go for a defeat, which I don't normally do. It's a head versus heart thing, as Mr. Wraith would say. My heart says 1s each, but my head says 2-1.
I'm going for a 2-2 I'm going for 2-2. I think it's obviously what we saw against Arsenal. Really? I think that Sunderland can get up, and I think there's going to be goals in this one. I think both defenses are going to be tested. I think Erling Haaland is a man you can't stop, but I still think Sunderland have the ability to break down Man City on the counter. Stevie, obviously a tough test for Sunderland this afternoon at Man City. You're fresh off a Man City victory.
Yeah, I'm going for a 2-2 as well. I think Sunderland will get a point. Man City are leaking goals. Look at that game against Fulham midweek, 5-4. Yeah. Absolutely ludicrous. It really was. Look, we've been tortured at Man City. We've never won at the Etihad. It's an awful ground as well. It's in the middle of nowhere. It reminds me of, like all these kind of flatback stadiums. I'm not a fan of them. That's why I'm, really concerned that Newcastle don't go down that route. But yeah, for me, I just think it's one of them games where Sunderland they seem to be rising to the occasion, and they haven't got any fear. And it can all go to pot. It can be the most fragile of things, confidence. And if City do get that early lead, they love scoring early. I'd love to know the stats, but they always score early. And if Sunderland get a conceded goal early, Man City can get that second, then it could all go pear-shaped. But watching both teams in recent weeks, I still think there's a point there for Sunderland. I think they'll get something. So 2-2.
We're going for 2 draws and a loss
I'm
there.
The only one
You are. We both think 2-2, and the Sunderland fans gone for a loss. But it'll be interesting to see, and it's going to be a tantalising fixture, that's for sure. Let's move on to Newcastle. They've got 2 games this week. Stevie Wraith, before the derby, mate. You're obviously Burnley today. And an interesting one for me before we talk about Leverkusen as well was Burnley's manager Scott Parker coming out midweek saying that, and I quote, "The mental toughness of my squad is there. I think they are a tough group, they're a tough group and they are mentally strong. But I feel like it still won't be enough." That's a harsh thing for a manager to be saying about his players so early into the season, saying that mentally, I think you lads are tough, but I still don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, he's a realist. He's been here before, Scott Parker. I think that's the thing. And he'll be looking for a reaction from his team. The one shining light this season so far has been our former keeper, Martin Dubravka, who will get a great reception today. But yeah, it's tough. This isn't again, there is no easy game in the Premier League. If you let your standards drop, there is no easy game. Burnley won't roll over. I think they've only won once on the road, and it was a 3-2 win at Wolves. They've lost the rest comprehensively. I think they've scored something like 6 or 7 goals on the road. They've conceded 21. This game is there for the taking for Newcastle, but Newcastle have got to turn up. It'll be interesting to see what Eddie does with his squad rotation. We've got a really great opportunity here. I think a lot of us would hope that he doesn't rotate too much. You would expect if Tonali's fit, he'll come back in, and he would probably replace. He was injured. He was injured in that game. I think he'd come in. I think he might play Bruno, Miley, and Bruno, Tonali, and Joe Linton midweek against Bayer Leverkusen. So I'm going to go for Bruno to come back in, Miley, and Tonali, and I think he'll rest Joe Linton today. So I think Joe Linton will play Wednesday. But yeah, I just think he will go for a change. I think he'll stick with Barnes on the left. I think he may play Elanga on the right, and I think he'll play Voldemar up front. Hopefully, Wissa's on the bench. But I am going to go for a 2-1 win. I'm not confident we're going to knock these for 6. But I'm going to go for a win nonetheless. 2-1 to Newcastle.
I'm going for a 5-1 victory to Newcastle against Burnley. I'm that confident. I think you're going to blow them out of the park. I think Scott Parker, I don't think that message is going to come across well with the players. It hasn't sit well with the fans. Teddy boy, Newcastle taking on Burnley today at home.
Yeah, I think this is the farewell to Scott Parker. It's quite an irony that he's probably going to get sacked after playing against one of his former clubs. I just can't see Burnley getting anything out of this, mate. They actually do all right in terms of scoring goals. That they don't often get by a nil scoreline. So I'll do them a favour. I'm going to agree with Baxter there. I'm going to go for 3-1 to the Geordies.
3-1 to the Geordies. All right. And then quickly looking ahead, Champions League fixture again, Stevie, in midweek. Leverkusen, you're away for Leverkusen. It's a tough old trip to any team in the Champions League, but obviously Leverkusen posing a different type of game for you again midweek. And what you hope, as you were saying, is can give some more minutes to Wissa if he is on the bench today. But it's a tough test before coming back home for the derby.
Yeah, I mean, I'm setting off. I'm going across to Leverkusen. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a tough game. For me though, this is one of our winnable games. If we can turn up on that night, we can get 3 points out there. We need somebody to score goals on a regular basis up front. Though we need to be able to change Voldemar and Wissa. That's the big hope, and Eddie's keen for us not to put too much pressure on Wissa's shoulders. It's virtually impossible, But we need to have the capability of being able to change things up front. If we've got that today and we've got that on Wednesday, then I genuinely think that we can probably get some kind of result. We can get a win on Wednesday night, but it's all dependent on today's game and if Wissa does play. So I am going to go for a 2-2 draw on Wednesday, which a point wouldn't be bad. It almost securing our places in the playoffs, and it means our Champions League journey continues.
I picked a ones each for the midweek draw. Teddy boy, Leverkusen at home to Newcastle in what is a tough midweek feature in front of the inaugural massive derby on the following weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to use some twisted logic here in the fact that Newcastle beat Man City, Leverkusen beat Man City, so I'm going to go for a draw in that one, and I'm going to go for a ones each. To be honest, it's a tough game, this one. Like I say though, Newcastle just going so well in Europe at the minute, and they seem to have kind of got the mentality to play these European sides. Leverkusen are no duck eggs, they have had a big turnaround in players, obviously. Ten Hag obviously doing his best to turn them into a top 10 team, like where he did with Manchester United. But yeah, so yeah, listen, they've still got some quality about them. A draw away from home is no disgrace against Leverkusen. So I'm going to go for a ones each on that one. And then obviously Voldemar to pick up an injury, Wissa to pick up an injury.
There it is. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think there's going to be sickness running through all the squads, and it'll be Chris Rigg versus, I don't know, Tim, the Pope or something like that. It'll be the only two left standing. Yeah. It's going to be massive. Sorry, we've got to talk quickly now about Middlesbrough. Obviously, they've got 2 games midweek as well. They've got Charlton away. It's a tough old fixture going down to London. But it's 30 quid. It was a bit expensive. But the Swedish meatballs are hot. The Swedish meatballs are hot. They're coming out of the IKEA shop quicker than we can handle them. And Middlesbrough are absolutely firing. 4-1 victory last night against Hull City. An amazing performance by Alex Gilbert in the middle of the pitch. We go to Charlton midweek, where we could look to close the gap further on Coventry if results were to go our way this week. If not, then the goal difference as well. But opening up that gap between us and third, and locking in that top 2 spot as well, heading into a tough Christmas fixture. Charlton obviously have just come up from League One. They've got a tough manager in Nathan Jones. For those that don't know, Nathan Jones is obviously the manager that took Southampton and Luton Town up, but then he was sacked. Look, going down to Charlton, I haven't got good memories of it. Middlesbrough fans, I'm not sure if you remember, but obviously the Charlton game away was Aitor Karanka's game where he failed to rock up because he had a falling out with Stewie Downing. It's an interesting place to go, but Middlesbrough going down there with full of confidence. And I'm telling you, the Swedish meatballs are hot. Middlesbrough away to Charlton midweek. Teddy boy, how do you see that one?
I think it'll be the Gilberto show all over again, mate. I think it could a safe 2-0. A safe 2-0. I think it's a very, very winnable game for you.
I'm honestly going 5-0. I think we're that good. I think the Swedish Revolution is crazy. I'm going to see Isak in the stands because he wants to come under the Swedish Revolution. He's had enough at Liverpool. It just hasn't worked out. Steve, obviously, midweek trip for Middlesbrough down to London. Not a tough trip. Sorry, it's a tough trip for any North East team, but going midweek to Charlton, they aren't doing the best, but Middlesbrough looking to solidify 3 wins from 3 under Kim Hellberg.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw, mate. 1-1. I think it'll be a tight game, that one. But yeah, you should win. But I'll go for a draw, mate. I don't want to predict 3 wins because we know what happens on this show when we all predict 3 wins.
We've got a big curse.
I'm trying to help you out, mate. I'm trying to help you.
Well, speaking of helping out, we've got a big result in the cricket again. And Scotty Boland's got another one. It's Brooksy. He's going to have to leave. England are going to be down 5 for 110 here in Australia.
Sadly, we've lost Ray. I don't know why. There seems to be some kind of problem on the show here. Is he finished yet? Oh, there he is. He's back. Hello, Ray. Sorry, mate. We lost you there.
He's gone. He's walking off. Australia on top here in the Ashes. It's absolutely seized. Thank you so much for tuning in to Three's a Crowd.
Hang on. I just want to point out a little bit of culture from Stephen Horn here. This needs pointing out. This is such a niche reference. Will it be Swedish meatballs or will it be a surstrumming night? Do you know what surstrumming is? And
is that really rotten fish?
It's fermented fish.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's testament to the people who watch this show. Intelligent people. Love it.
You know what happens when you've got a bad fish? That's England's cricket hopes.
That was Australia that was going the other way.
I have how unnecessarily long that is as well, that flush. Middlesbrough fans have a fantastic trip to Charlton. Newcastle, you have got a tough trip with Burnley this afternoon. And then obviously Leverkusen, Sunderland, a good old safe trip down to Etihad. We have got a derby on the horizon right here on the North East Football Pod. We have got Newcastle taking on Sunderland this time next week. I cannot believe it. It's on our doorstep. We have got a lot to cover. Make sure you join us if you have enjoyed the pod. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button. Consider subscribing. We will see you all next week to preview the derby of all derbies. But for now, it's bye for now.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat. It's a promise.